Who am I and who are you? The ultimate questions for who we are as whole beings experiencing on this earth in this human journey. And to find the answers to these questions, we are going to be sitting down and exploring the minds for the wisdom and knowledge of the layers that make up our beings. From the mind, to the emotions, to the body, and to the astral with the light body. We will be exploring these different multi-dimensional aspects of who we are as the I Am presence in this world on earth, in the human experience. We'll get to have fun, cracking smiles, and diving deep into the knowledge with different psychics, intuitives, shamans, coaches, teachers, practitioners, and many more different beautiful conscious souls of the everyday life to gather the information we need in order to unravel these layers and become more aware and present in ourself as the whole I Am presence that we are. And I'm very grateful for this and really look forward to the journey. So thank you all for tapping in and being a part of this. And I am your host, Marcus, aka Christolight, and I will be on this journey with you from the beginning to the end as we travel through the process of clearing layers. Hello, blessed day. Thank you all for tapping in, and welcome to the first ever episode of the process of clearing layers here live on this new Instagram TV series that will also be getting uploaded and streaming onto YouTube this Tuesday at 8 p.m. Now, the process of clearing layers. You may be kind of curious on what these videos, what these promos and previews have been about. And I, your host, Marcus, aka Christolight, am going to be guiding you and expanding upon these travels through the multidimensional layers of our being as a whole. And when I say these multidimensional layers, I'm talking about the mind, the body, the emotions, and as well as the spiritual light body. Now, there's going to be specific and organized topics for each episode. and each episode is going to be about an hour long every Sunday. And you'll be getting promos, you'll be getting previews, you'll be getting behind the scene looks for what these episodes are going to look like. And when you hop over and watch the Tuesday edition of the episodes, which will be full in-depth episodes, you'll be able to see a little more about these beautiful conscious souls that come on as guests throughout this series. And the type of guests that we're going to have are going to be ranging from a wide variety of different holistic practitioners, shamans, teachers, dedicated students of knowledge and esoterics, counselors, life coaches, psychologists, biologists, and many other beautiful conscious souls will be joining us throughout this series, the process of clearing layers. And here in a moment, I'm going to briefly introduce myself to all of you in this divine world of planet Earth, so you can get an idea of who I am as your host throughout this journey. And you'll be able to relate upon some of my experiences, as well as have an understanding of why these connections relate to me through these guests that I attract into my space on an everyday occurrence. I really look forward to this journey with all of you, and I'm really grateful to be here now to share this moment and share these moments moving forward as we embark upon diving deep within ourselves to have a deeper understanding and a more expanded awareness on how we function on the mind, body, emotion, and spiritual energy levels, as well as what it looks like from the micro to the macro levels of the operating mechanics of these different layers of ourself. And alongside all of this, you'll be able to pick up on the knowledge, the wisdom, the different practices and tools that these beautiful conscious souls that are coming on as guests will be able to lay into our laps, as well as demonstrate with some of us on these Instagram lives. And yes, demonstrating. On some of these Instagram lives, the guests will come on and they may do a practice demonstration with us of something like yoga, Tai Chi, meditation, and many other practices. And if you're open to it, you'll be able to participate from where you are at home or wherever you are at your workplace, and so on and so forth. And this is all open for free to each and every one of you for the cause and intention of spreading and sharing the knowledge of who we are, as well as giving the keys to unlocking the opportunities of self-empowerment and bringing true divine harmony, restoration, and healing to our organism and being, and to activate our DNA so we may bridge our true potential of our higher self into our physical reality, so we can be the heaven on earth that we wish to embody and see as a collective in humanity. And if you have any questions during this live, feel free to drop the questions down below in the question box right by the comment section. You can ask questions about my path. You can ask questions about different practices. You can ask questions about the series, and I will gladly answer them to the best of my ability for you.
And
pause. Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to the first official episode of the process of clearing layers. I am your host, Marcus, aka Christolight. And how are we all doing today? I trust that we are allowing ourselves to remain blessed, see the beauty in the moment, and taking care of exactly what we need to maintain our inner peace and wholeness. Ashe. And I just want to start off with saying thank you to each and every one of you, beautiful conscious souls that are going to be viewing this first episode of the process of clearing layers. And thank you to everybody that tapped in on Instagram for the first IGTV episode on Sunday. If it wasn't for you guys, this journey would not be happening. The inspiration wouldn't be there, and the support, most importantly, wouldn't be there. And with that being said, we are rolling, and we are now officially traveling along this journey in this new series. And it's time to explore a little bit about who I am, my passions, my story, and what has caused and led me to the internal spark of my call to passion, of servicing my practices, being there for others, and being the founder of Sacred Light Healing and Wellness. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and tap back in to the Instagram Live from Sunday, and we'll hear a little bit about my journey. And throughout, we will take some pauses, rehash, dive a little bit deeper to explain whatever arises for our consciousness. And I'll see you in a moment. So, who am I? Who is Marcus Christolight? Well, to begin, I am a multifaceted, intuitive, holistic healing medium. I practice many different practices, as well as serve guidance. And some of these practices that I practice are Reiki, oracle card readings, light language, chakra coaching, intuitive life guidance, shadow work, integration. I also practice crystal healing. And one of my favorites is trauma healing and Akashic Records healing. These are all practices that I've been practicing for up to 8 years now, until now. I started getting into my spiritual self-awakening awareness path about 8 years ago in 2013, 2014. And when I started getting into this path of self-awareness and self-awakening, I, at the time, was involved with going to music festivals and I was selling different substances. I was selling weed, Molly, ecstasy, cocaine, mushrooms, LSD, DMT, you name it. I wasn't selling heroin, meth, or crack, but I was selling the party drugs and the psychedelics. And I was doing that for a few years in my life. And it started in high school with weed, and then navigated into the psychedelics and festival drugs when I got out of high school. And as I was selling them, I was consuming them as well. And as I was consuming them, I started building upon addictions to these substances. And I started abusing plant medicines. And going along in this period, I was going to festivals, living unorganized, unaware of boundaries, and really not taking care of my well-being. Moving on, in 2015, I was living in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I was at my mother's house, and I was on probation at the time due to a substance abuse charge. And I was heading to my probation meeting with my mother in the passenger seat of the car. And as we were on the way, I got pulled over. No traffic violation. The cop came up to the door and asked me to step out of the car. And I had no idea what was going on. Neither did my mother. So I get out of the car, and I get handcuffed, and I get arrested. And my mother is sitting in the car. And I'm sitting there just really wondering what's going on, and also wondering what my mother's thinking. And the officer didn't tell me anything until I got put in the back of the K9 van. And I'm sitting in the K9 van, and next thing I know, this guy walks up, and he's got a badge and a vest on. And I recognize this guy, because this guy that is now walking up in front of me, he is someone that I had sold to as a undercover informant. And I'll never forget, he said, "Do you remember me?" And I just sat there in disbelief, and I put my head down. And I remember my stomach turning, and everything just turning into tunnel vision. And I just was really beside myself during that moment. But at a parallel time during this period, around 2014, or early 2014, I had began becoming aware of my spirituality. And I'd also began becoming aware of different holistic healing practices, such as Reiki, yoga, meditation, chakras, breathwork, and many other practices. I was learning them through one of my really good brothers, Jonathan, who was a Reiki master, shamanic teacher, and many more different practices. And as I was learning these practices during my times of selling, I was really awakening and developing my DNA and healing my organism and becoming more aware of my higher self. So I was meeting Reiki masters, I was meeting yoga teachers and meditation teachers as well during that period. And I was about 18, 19. I'm 27 now. And as I was doing these practices almost daily with Jonathan and in my own space as well, it really started becoming second nature for me to really take these practices as my everyday purpose and natural gifts and ability. And then moving forward back to the arrest in 2015, with knowing that I was practicing all these and I was already well aware on my spiritual path for a little bit of time, I ended up getting put on house arrest, and I had prison time over my head. As in, if I had messed up on house arrest, then the prison time would then have to be served. So I was on house arrest, and I successfully did that. And then I was on probation, and I actually failed my probation. Long story short, I ended up not changing my environment. I ended up keeping myself around the same people, thinking that I can change them, instead of focusing on me and continuing to grow and stay disciplined in what I needed to do for myself. So I got influenced, and I ended up smoking weed on probation, failing my drug tests. And then one night at a party for a friend that was leaving to the military, and this was all high school friends, and I ended up doing cocaine at that party. It was like a one-time thing that I hadn't done in a while, and that one time ended up leading to me getting drug tested a few days later, and it was still in my system. So when I got drug tested, the probation officer came out and let me know that I'd failed for cocaine and that she was going to have to arrest me and send me off to jail so I could go to court in front of the judge, and he'll decide if it's time for me to go serve my time in prison. So I went to jail, sat there for a few days before my court date, and then went in front of the judge, and my dad was sitting in the courtroom, and we got to watch my fate of the judge deciding that it was best for me to go to prison. So this was in 2017 when I had went to prison. This was in the late January, early February. And this was in Ohio, and I ended up going to Pickaway Correctional Facility by Columbus. And yes, it was a dark time. It was a time that I wouldn't wish upon anybody, of course, being in that type of environment, being in a place where correctional officers get to treat you like the lowest of low of humanity, and you're susceptible to anything happening to you from other inmates. Now, I will say I did go to a lower security prison to where there was very little room for getting into trouble, or else you get shipped away. So this kept a little bit more safety for the environment compared to a maximum security, where people in maximum security are more likely to be multiple time murderers and other things. So I was in there, and I, believe it or not, actually did not have any negative encounters personally. I didn't have any type of threatening times, and I was safe the whole time. And while I was also there, I became really empowered in myself. Really big solar plexus activation. And I realized my purpose even more deeply while I was in there. And why? Because I became a beacon of light for many souls in there that were lost in the darkness and had been looking for guidance in their life, looking for knowledge, looking for that soul food of unconditional love and compassion that was missing in that environment. And due to where I was on my spiritual path, as I was describing, being a year to 2 years into my self-awakening and holistic healing practices journey, I was able to carry those into that environment and become a Christ-light figure in there. So I taught about 7 to 8 people meditation, hands-on meditation, full guidance, just like I have on my Instagram lives and on YouTube. I drew out the 7 chakras and described what the chakras were for them. They were asking me knowledge about scriptures. They were asking me questions regarding spirituality. And in there I also got to learn in depth a little more about the government, as well as the United States, central banks, and other things. So while I was in there, it ended up being very enlightening, very enriching for my soul and my being, as I spent a lot of time inward meditating and a lot of other time spreading knowledge, spreading light upon these other inmates that were open to it. So I was sentenced to 4.5 years of prison. And once I got in there, I learned about something which you can research your own self called shock probation or judicial release. And what that is you serve a certain amount of time or a certain period of your sentence. And after you've served that amount of time, you're able to write a letter to the judge explaining the different things that you have done to help rebuild yourself. And then you send it out to the judge, and then the judge gets to decide if he would like to let you get out early and finish your time on probation with the rest of the prison time over your head, or decline it and you serve the rest of your prison time. So August came around, 2017, after I had been in since the end of January. And prior to that, as I was explaining, I was on house arrest, and I also did jail time. So house arrest and jail time got the count towards the time I've served already. So with this time counted towards time served, on top of what I served from the end of January until August, I was able to become eligible for this judicial release. So I wrote a letter to the judge and sent it out. And during my time while I was in prison, on top of all of the amazing spiritual things I had done, I did things on the physical surface as well, such as attending NA and AA, going to a drug and alcohol program. I was spending time in the library. Yes, we had a full library in there, just like you would find out here in the streets. A full library that I was finding amazing spiritual texts to read, such as The Royal Path of Yoga, really good book, or Eckhart Tolle, The New Earth. I read that while I was in there. I actually read some of the Bhagavad Gita, the ancient Indian text, and some other books as well. And I sent out that letter, and the judge accepted it. He accepted my judicial release. and I got the date set to get out a couple of days before Thanksgiving of 2017. And I go to court and get out a couple of days before Thanksgiving, and my mother and sister pick me up. And this was a very beautiful time in my life. You know, I got to get out right before Thanksgiving, and my mother and sister were there from South Carolina all the way up in Ohio to pick me up and be a part of it and bring me home to where my dad was staying. Very beautiful moment I'll never forget. And with all this being said, I came out and I was very inspired. Not just inspired, but I knew my purpose more deeply, and I was more focused. And I wrote a lot of my music in there, a lot of the songs I have on YouTube, as well as poetry and other beautiful things that you'll be hearing from me and throughout this process of clearing layers series as we go along. And on top of that, that was where I came up with the inspiration of creating my sovereign independent business, Sacred Light Healing and Wellness, which I ended up creating in 2018. And in 2018 of February, I got Reiki certified officially. I have been practicing Reiki ever since way back when I was talking about 2014. But I got officially certified in 2018. And then I got crystal healing certified in 2019. And then I just continued to build from there. I have been doing guided meditations online, here on Instagram Live actually, going back to about 2018, 2019. And I've been doing guided meditations on my YouTube channel, which you can still find right now, that I've made a few recently in the last coming months. The last one I made was a violet flame meditation for the new moon last month. And I've been doing the guided meditations as probably one of my favorite practices. There's so many different things that I like to put within my guided meditations, such as chakra balancing, trauma healing, Akashic Records meditations, soul origin meditations, finding out about your soul lineage or your higher self, as well as being able to just relax, ease the body, ease the system, and drawing connection with our spirit guides, such as the archangels and ancestors. These are all different meditation styles that I guide and have throughout the years, and you can find some of these on my YouTube channel. Reiki is also one of my favorite practices that I've been practicing for a little while. And what Reiki is universal healing of the light. And a practitioner, a true practitioner, will teach and tell you that when you're practicing Reiki, I am, or you are, just the vessel, the channel for the universal healing energy to channel through and be transferred through the hands to the client or to the other participant. And that is what Reiki is. It's just utilizing techniques and forms with the body and the mind to connect and channel the universal Christ light and allow it to channel through the hands into the other being. We'll get deeper on what Reiki is and guided meditations, crystal healing, and all these other practices like card readings as we go along this journey in this series, the process of clearing layers. We'll be able to hear the exclamations about these practices through the wisdom and experiences of not just myself as your host, but through our other beautiful conscious guests that are going to be coming on for each and every episode. And with each guest, we'll have a specific topic regarding a passion or a dedication that they serve that is helpful for us to deeper understand the layers of our being, from the mind, emotions, body, and spiritual light self. So be on the lookout. Make sure you have your notifications straightened out and aligned so you can be on this journey with us. Be tapped in the moment for these Sunday lives that are going to be happening every Sunday from here on. And along with these lives here on IGTV, on this handle Sacred Light 33, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, you'll have fresh, fully produced episodes about the previous Sunday's live, dropping on YouTube under Sacred Light Healing and Wellness. Be sure to subscribe to Sacred Light Healing and Wellness on YouTube. Hit that like, subscription button, and the bell. And hit all when you hit that bell, so you can get that banner notification on your phone or on your laptop of when the fresh new episode drops, or any other behind the scene content drops onto the YouTube channel. So yes, on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll have full in-depth episodes throughout this series about the previous Sunday's live and about the guest as well. So you'll be learning some backstory about these guests. You'll be seeing some of them demonstrating their practices previously on different clients, different groups, or them teaching, or them talking about their inventions, their passions, or practices from previous moments outside of the live space. And that will be intertwined while taking a look at the IGTV live version in the same episode. So like I said, it's going to be a fun, beautiful, expansive, refreshing ride. And all that's required for you is to be you. Be open to observing. And make sure you're aligning yourself to get these notifications. Every Sunday, IGTV. Your host, Marcus Christolight. I will be here for the process of clearing layers, as we'll sit down with our beautiful conscious soul guest to speak upon different topics every Sunday. Be on the lookout for the flyers, the advertisements. They drop on my page, as well as the official process of clearing layers Instagram page as well, which you can go ahead and follow if you haven't. Process of clearing layers on Instagram. And you'll get previews, you'll get trailers, you'll get other in-depth behind-the-scene looks at who these beautiful souls are that are coming on to share their wisdom and knowledge for us. And if you are someone that is a practitioner, coach, teacher, student, anything regarding being a beautiful conscious soul, and you want to have a special episode to come on here live and express yourself and share what you have with the collective, feel free to direct message myself here on this profile, Sacred Light 33. and we'll sit down, have a discerning conversation, and feel out if a episode is correct for you to share with the world. And if you are someone that just wants to participate and find ways to support as a conscious viewer, which I'm grateful for as well, thank you for supporting and being a conscious viewer of this series and as we move forward. There are a few ways that you can support the cause and the intention of spreading this knowledge, spreading the awareness of who we are as whole beings, for the collective to remember their true essence, as well as what this healing process, this regenerative process can look like for the mind, body, spiritual energy, and emotions. Here are the couple of ways. Number 1, make sure you are following, subscribe, and like the content of the Process of Clearing Layers on Instagram, on my page, and on the YouTube channel, Sacred Light Healing and Wellness. You can find the YouTube link in my bio, as well as the bio of the Process of Clearing Layers. And when you subscribe on YouTube, just remember to hit that bell so you can get your notification banners. Number 2, the other way that you can help support this intention and cause of the Process of Clearing Layers is by donating. If you are willing to give heart-based donations, they are welcomed, as all donations for each episode will get split between myself and our special authentic guest for their cause and for sharing their knowledge and wisdom with us. And I will also have my Cash App and PayPal available in the descriptions of the post, as well as the description of the YouTube episodes. And once again, all donations get split between myself and the guest for their cause and their passion. And we try to organize it by episode. So you can donate per episode, so then that specific guest can get their donation for their cause and their passion. Thank you guys. And the third and final way that you can help support the intention and cause of this beautiful holistic space series is simply by asking questions as they arise. If you have any questions regarding myself, our special authentic guest, about the knowledge or teaching, or about this series, feel free to ask questions during the live. Every live is a Q&A where you can drop questions down below in the question box by the comments. And we will answer the questions to the best of our ability and as organized as possible. And outside of that, you can actually ask questions to myself. You can direct message, and I will get to them as I can. And on top of asking questions, also just try to be open. Be open to the knowledge. Be open to the practices. And be open to possibly implementing the knowledge and practices into your own daily life, or sharing it with your friends, your family members, your children, and maybe doing the practices and knowledges together, as they can potentially help you restore yourself, bring harmony into your life, and help remind you of what it's like to be in awareness as a whole being. So that's all I have for you guys today on this episode Got to learn a little bit about who I am, your host, Marcus Christolight, and what to look for really in this beautiful holistic space series here on IGTV and YouTube, The Process of Clearing Layers. I want to thank you all that is here live to support, and I want to thank everybody that is going to be tapping in. You guys all make a difference, each and every one of you. Every moment that you bring yourself to these type of spaces to share your energy, your love, and your light, you are creating a ripple effect into the conscious universe of life. And I just want you to remember that. And your actions outside of here matter. Every choice ripples into the universe. And we got to embody what we want to see in this world to really make a difference. So, what to look for coming up before I step off of here and wrap things up. Coming up this Tuesday on the 10th, I'll be dropping the full episode about this episode 1 introduction on YouTube at 8 p.m. Eastern. And this live will be in it. And there'll also be a little bit more about myself and what to look forward to next Sunday in our second episode. So that'll be Tuesday, the 10th at 8 p.m. will be the full episode of this episode 1. And then next Sunday, we'll be having our first authentic, beautiful soul guest come on. And just look out throughout the week for the flyer and any previews for what the topic will be about, as well as who our first authentic soul guest will be for this Process of Clearing Layers series. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for your energy and efforts. You are greatly appreciated and greatly loved. I am your host for this journey of the Process of Clearing Layers, Marcus, aka Christolight. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 1 on IGTV of the Process of Clearing Layers. You got to dive deep inside of my experiences and my path that has led me to my inner spark, to my call of passion for serving the whole collective with my services. And yeah, believe it or not, I spent a little time in prison. I was going to music festivals, selling different substances once upon a time. And I have transformed my life since. I've transformed my life to where I am completely 100% sober from everything to this day. And I also am living fully on providing my services, doing workshops, and I now host retreats as well. I just hosted a retreat in Costa Rica in December 2022 for the first time ever. And then I have another potential retreat coming up in Costa Rica in February. And then I have a retreat in South Carolina of the United States coming up at the end of March. And I'll actually be co-hosting that with my own mother. And if you're interested in any of these retreats or my weekly workshops, which I do have for crystal healing, chakra healing, as well as trauma healing, you can direct message me through my social media, Sacred Light 33, and we can get your spot reserved for either one. But back to the live. It's been quite a journey for me. It's been a up and down road, of course. And during those downs, I really learned a lot about myself, and a lot of my light came through, and it showed me my strength and what I was capable of with the gifts and talents that I have. And if it wasn't for those darkest and lowest times, such as prison, I would not have discovered how much my talents and gifts truly affect those around me that are stuck in their shadows or stuck in the dark. Being able to help other inmates meditate, learn about their chakras, be a beacon of light for them was very eye-opening, very humbling, and gave me a big push on this service path of providing holistic, quantum level practices and strategies for us to put into our everyday life to balance and restore and regenerate our beings from the mind, body, emotions, and spiritual energy. There is nothing more I could have asked for in this life than what I've been through to be here now, to be here as your host for this beautiful series, The Process of Clearing Layers. And I really look forward to what's to come. We have beautiful guests lined up to come in and share their stories, share their passions and their knowledge about the being, as well as the restoration and healing process. And you'll be able to learn practices in different ways that you can use the knowledge in your everyday life for your own well-being. So that is it for episode 1 of The Process of Clearing Layers. Thank you all for tapping in, tuning in, and being a part of this opening to this beautiful journey. And I appreciate you guys listening in to my story, holding space for me, and receiving me for who I am. I'm grateful for all the support. And don't forget to like and subscribe here on YouTube. Hit that notification bell for notifications to get banners. And don't forget to also follow on Instagram, Sacred Light 33, where I am live on Sundays for the episodes on IGTV. And you can also follow on Instagram, Process of Clearing Layers, official Instagram page. And just to give you guys a little heads up on what to look for next week, this coming Sunday, we will be having our first authentic soul guest. And our first authentic soul guest is going to be a good brother and a very crafty, mechanical energy co-creator. And his name is Quentin, and he also goes by Golden Sun Orgo. And he will be sharing with us his journey and the mechanics and benefits, along with the micro to macro level of how Organite helps our being bring harmony, upliftment, charging, and much more. So, don't forget to tap in on Sunday, noon Eastern Time. I'll be live on IG, Sacred Light 33, with Golden Sun Oregon, talking about Orgonite and how Orgonite benefits our mind, body, emotions, and spiritual energy. Thank you all. Send you all love. Remember your balance and wholeness. See you next time.
What's life if you can't trust nobody? Tell me what's life if you can't be somebody? Tell me what's life if you can't trust nobody? Tell me what's life if you can't be somebody? Blessings in disguise from the man in the sky. But my mind elects to compromise with the dark side, keeping out between the fine line of life and death. Keep yourself in check, cause any day you can be off the set. There's no scripts to this life, even though it's equivalent to a movie shot in my life. Illuminati wants to shoot me, I don't shoot. I plot for my killers with the Uzi. Meanwhile, get my dick licked by the groupies. And best believe, I only fuck the tight coochies. Spraying up with extended clip, got on grass in the ether for something to grip. Afterwards, hop up in the whip, roll a fat spliff, light it up, cruise it on the way to get about sit. Shit, who doesn't love it? I earned it. I worked my way up from low budget with no funding. What's a life worth living if can't trust nobody? What's a life worth living if can't be somebody? I said, what's a life worth living if can't trust nobody? What's a life worth living if can't be somebody? Trying to go get more in a different way. I learned from the dark days. Became a lord of the light. Got it by my inner master sensei. Now I don't play no games. Stay in my lane. The astral planes is where it shows me the ways. Bet your ass you'll remember me when I'm in the grave. And soul moves on to the next phase. Cause I'm switching up brain waves and paving way for the rap game.